Good morning. Welcome back into Wake Up America. I'm Rob Finnerty. Time now for the question of the day. Who almost altered American history forever on this day 41 years ago? Think about it. A drifter named John Hinckley Jr. attempted an assassination on the President of the United States. Standing with a group of reporters, Hinckley fired 6 shots at Ronald Reagan outside the Washington Hilton. 3 people were hit, including White House Press Secretary James Brady, who was shot in the head and critically wounded. Now, the bullet just missed Reagan's heart, and he was rushed to a local hospital with a punctured lung. The 70-year-old entered the hospital under his own power. He walked himself in, and then the ever-present Ronald Reagan was joking with his wife, Nancy. He said, "Honey, I forgot to duck." And then to his doctors, just before they put him under, Ronald Reagan said, "Please tell me you're all Republicans." And his surgeons apparently said, "Today, sir, we are all Republicans." All right, as the Russian invasion of Ukraine drags into day number 35 today, how long will the U.S. continue to supply Ukraine with weapons? Newsmax national correspondent Logan Raddick is joining us live at the Pentagon with an update. Logan, good morning.
Good morning, Rob, and that's exactly the question that I asked Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby. Here's our exchange.
John, thank you. So once the $800 million package fully arrives in Ukraine, will the U.S. continue sending weapons to the Ukrainians, even with the Russians kind of pulling out from that Kyiv area? And then secondly, if there were to be a ceasefire, would the U.S. continue sending weapons to Ukraine?
I don't have any announcements to make beyond the president's $800 million package. We're working hard on that. There's already been several deliveries made on that package, and we're moving out as quickly as we can on it. And the president's been clear. We're going to continue to support, as I said in my opening statement, we're going to continue to support Ukraine for as fast as we can. Obviously, we want to see this war end, but for as long as Ukraine and the Ukrainian armed forces need assistance, the United States is going to be there to help provide it.
So the Pentagon won't give a timetable as to when we've cut off aid to the Ukrainians in their fight against Russia. But also Trevor Reed is something that is in the background. He is a former Marine. He's in prison in Russia. He's been there since 2019. His parents today, they're trying to hear back from the Biden administration. They'll be protesting outside the White House. They're stressing that they don't just want him released, but also other American prisoners in Russia, like basketball star Brittany Griner. So again, no timetable on when the aid will be cut off, and no answers yet from the Biden administration on how these American prisoners will get out of Russia. Rob.
Logan, good to see you. We got to change your hit time from 8:30 a.m. Eastern. Every time we check in with you at the Pentagon at this time, there are like 6 helicopters taking off right over your shoulder. That explains the loud noise there. But you handled it like a champ, as always. Thanks, Logan. Appreciate it. Allison, over to you.
All right, thanks, Rob. We do have some breaking news for you. We are hearing that Senator Susan Collins plans to vote to confirm Ketanji Brown Jackson to the Supreme Court. Collins becoming the first Republican to back her. She is from Maine. And for more on this, let's welcome in Pennsylvania Congressman and Iraq War veteran and member of the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, Guy Reschenthaler. Thank you so much for joining us, sir, and of course for your service. Congressman, I want to get your reaction to a Susan Collins announcement. She is the first Republican to say that she's going to vote for her. You think this is a done deal, and do you think any other Republicans will back her?
Well, Allison, thanks for having me on, as always. Look, I think that the nomination process here shows us just how radically far left the Biden administration really is. Remember, he ran on a platform of being a centrist, wanting to have this return to normalcy. And instead of nominating somebody who was center left, he has this nominee who clearly is a liberal progressive, incredibly steeped in liberal ideology, will not even define a woman during the Senate confirmation hearing. So it just exposes the radical nature of the Biden administration and the false promises that Biden and the rest made during the campaign when they said they were going to govern from the center. But as far as Susan Collins goes, remember, if we were to hold together as Republicans, if we were to stop splitting votes, specifically in West Virginia, for example, had we had Patrick Morrisey instead of Joe Manchin, this would not have even been a possibility because we could have blocked this nominee. So remember, elections have consequences. And when you think there's some kind of faux sophistication or political sophistication splitting tickets, this is what you get. Yeah. Because had we not have Sinema and Manchin in the Senate had 2 Republicans, Mitch McConnell would be driving this. and we would not have this far left nominee.
Very true. Congressman, let's pivot now to the proposed budget. You tweeted Biden's budget proposes tax hikes that would make it more expensive to do business in America than in communist China. Congressman, we've heard President Biden talk about Buy America. This is, for American people, but it really looks like there's some things that are cut in this budget, and there's a lot. One of them is border security funding. Can you talk to us a little bit more about what's in this budget?
Allison, I'd love to. And the reason I was smiling is because you hear Biden talk about the economy, but I think he's talking about the Chinese economy because this budget would help China help us. For example, just like I said in my tweet, this would take the corporate income tax to a level that's higher than communist China is. So all this talk about buying American, bringing our supply chains home, we've got to do that. But we don't do it by putting up these barriers to entry for business. What we should be doing is we should be reducing taxes, reducing regulation. We should be having permit reforms as well, specifically for the energy sector. Instead, we're doing the exact opposite with this budget. We're also having this wealth tax, which I think is completely illusory. I don't think these billionaires are going to end up paying because they are the Democratic donors at this point, but they can just move to another country. They can find loopholes. Yeah. So this budget shows us that Biden is not serious about watching out for the American economy, and he's not serious about watching after and protecting the American worker, because you'll see more jobs going offshore than you did even in the Obama administration.
Yeah, there's a lot of money in there for the new Green Deal, too. Congressman, I want to quickly move on to the war. So Russia is reportedly vowing to scale back military activity in the north. President Zelensky dismissing the reports. We actually had a member of the Ukrainian parliament, Kira Rudik, who said last night in Kyiv was the worst yet. I mean, how can we trust Russia at all?
Well, Alice, I should have said this. Please just call me Guy as always. But we can't trust Russia. The fact that Russia invaded in the first place, how quickly we forget that just 3, 4, 5 weeks ago, it was Russia that invaded Ukraine. So now they can have this strategic redeployment. I don't believe it for a second. What we should be doing is we should be providing the Ukrainians the MiG-29s they've been asking for. They're asking for more tanks. We should provide more tanks. We should be providing small arms, drones. We should be engaged in electronic warfare, jamming the Russian planes. So we in effect set up a no-fly zone through electronic warfare. We should be doing all that. Instead, Joe Biden is talking about regime change in Russia, right, making these threats and doing zero, Allison, to back that up. He's actually making the situation worse.
That's what a lot of people are saying. All right, Congressman Guy Rushing. I got to call you Congressman. You've earned that title. Maybe. Thank you so much.
Fair enough, Allison.
Thank you for joining us, sir.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.